Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Mr. Grosso. Hope everybody had a very nice and very relaxing spring break. Alright, so the first topic that we're going to take a look at now that we're back from spring break is probability. Alright, so we're only going to take a look at this. Like if you look at this one right here, this part, probability 1 of 7, means there's going to be 7 things for us to do. The last one being, the assessment. So the first thing that we're going to do is take a look at simple probability. So we're going to introduce a few different probabilities that you guys are going to look at and then practice with. All right, so let's start talking about what probability actually is. So probability is the likeliness of a desired event occurring. So basically, a probability is going to be a fraction. It can be a percent, it can be a decimal, or it can be a fraction. We're going to keep it simple and just try and make everything into fractions. All right, so what's the likeliness of the thing that we want to happen or the thing that we think is going to happen out of the total outcomes possible in that particular situation? All right, so it'll make a little bit more sense once we get a few examples in there. So the first example that we're going to take a look at is spinners. All right, just kind of like from a board game. So it says here to find the probability of the event given the spinners below. So this is going to be the first spinner that we're going to take a look at. So this right here, P and then purple in parentheses, that just means what's the probability of getting purple on this particular spinner. So the desired event for us is going to be purple, but what are the total outcomes possible here? Well, there's purple, there's red, there's orange, there's yellow, there's green, there's blue. So there are 6 total possible outcomes that this thing can land on, and purple is just one of them. So what's the probability of the spinner landing on purple out of all of those possibilities? Well, it's just 1 out of 6. So you guys would click on the little yellow box here and type 1 out of 6. All right, let's take a look at the second example here. What's the probability of it landing on a primary color? So hopefully people know what primary colors are, and if you don't, they're the 3 main colors of red, blue, and yellow. So what's the probability of getting a primary color of either red or blue or yellow out of those right there? Well, it still has a total of 6 outcomes possible, but now we can have 3 of those be okay for it to land on. So that would be 3 out of 6. So you're going to type 3 out of 6 here. Anytime you see an equal sign and another yellow box, that means that this fraction can be simplified and it should be simplified. So what does 3 over 6 simplify to? 1/2. And now let's take a look at this one. What's the probability of it landing on brown in this particular spinner example? Well, yellow, green, blue, purple, red, and orange are the only colors that it has. Is there any brown on there whatsoever? Doesn't look like it. So what's the probability of it landing on a brown colored piece? Well, it's going to be 0 out of that 6. This is the lowest a probability can be. All right, and if it's 0 out of 6, what can that possibly simplify to? Well, if you got 0 on top, 0. The likeliness of that is not at all. 0%, 0 as a decimal, 0 as a fraction. It's not going to happen. All right, we're going to take a look at one more spinner example before you guys try a couple spinner problems on your own. This one, it's similar to the other one with, like red, yellow, green. But if you notice, there's a lot more of just one particular color. So for like red, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 reds. So if you count all of these up, the total outcomes possible is now 16. So what's the probability of it landing on a yellow? Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 4 yellows out of the total 16. And because it has an equal and another little box here, that means that's going to be able to be simplified. So if we divide both of those guys by 4, it'll be 1/4. All right, what's the probability of it landing on a red? Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 reds out of the entire 16. So again, that's going to be 4 out of 16. And again, it's got an equal and a box next to it. So that needs to be simplified, and that will simplify to 1/4. And the last little example that we'll take a look at with the spinners is what's the probability that it's going to land on a color? Well, looking around at all the possibilities, is there anything that is not a color? Like, does anything have a number on it? Does anything have a shape on it? Like, is there anything that's other or different than a color? No, everything is a color. So, out of all 16 of those spots that it could possibly land on, all 16 of them are colors. And no, Gage, we're not thinking of the weird, interesting situation of it landing somewhere in between the two colors. Because everybody knows if that happens, then you're just going to have to spin again and have it land on a color. So we're not dealing with those. So what's the probability of it landing on a color? It's 16 out of 16. All right, this is the other special case scenario that we were looking at from the other one, which was like, what was the probability of it landing on brown? At 0. This is the other end. So what's the probability of it landing on a color? It's 16 out of 16. So it's 100% going to happen. So as a fraction or as a decimal, it's going to be 1. As a percent, it's going to be 100. But again, we're going to just focus on using fractions just to make it easier for everybody so everybody's on the same page. All right, now that we've gotten a few examples under our belt, why don't you guys try the next few on your own, and I'll pick back up with you for the next intro into, I believe it's going to be dice. So I'll see you guys there.